Hi, this is Mimi. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be making a folio. We're using decorative paper for the base. Instead of building a base out of plain cardstock, we're going to be sewing in a waterfall spine, sewing with the sewing machine. If you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. I will show you what to do that you don't need to use a sewing machine. Let's get started. We need 2 pieces of paper for the base. I'm using this I Love School. When I do projects that I'm personally not going to use, I try to use paper that I'm personally not going to use. And my son is going to be 21 next month. So he does not need the I Love School paper. So that's why I'm using the I Love School. I'm going to use the yellow plaid. And I need another piece. Sure, why not? And we'll get rid of this. So that's why you'll see me, like, honestly, I'm just doing this because I came up with the idea. And I thought you guys might enjoy it. Alright, so we need a piece that is 11 by 8. So we're going to cut this down to 8 and then 11. Is that correct? Yeah. And then cut to 11. And then we need a piece that is 8 by 8.5. Okay, so we have those pieces cut. While we're cutting, so I don't have to bring my trimmer back out, let's find pieces for the waterfall. Let's do the blue star. And then I think I'm probably going to need more, but, right? Hold on. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need another piece. What size is this? Oh, I'll be able to use this piece. Okay. So we're just going to use our scraps. So we need to be 8 inches. Okay. And then we need a 7.5 by 8. I'm going to do the biggest one first, because I know I can get smaller ones out of the scrap. And then we need a 3.5. And do I have? I don't think I have. This is too small, so we need one more piece. These are too small. I'm just going to grab a piece. Grab this piece here. And once again, it needs to be 8 inches by 5.5. Okay, so 8 inches by 5.5. So you need 3 pieces for the waterfall spine. 3.5 by 8, 5.5 by 8, and 7.5 by 8. You need 2 pieces for the folio itself, an 11 by 8 piece, and an 8 by 8.5 piece. Okay? Now we just need to do a bunch of scoring. So we're going to take this longer 11 by 8 piece and we're going to put it in on the 11-inch side, and here it is. We are going to score at 6. No. Yes, but we need to score this way. Hold on, let me figure it out. Okay, I turned my oh my gosh, my scoreboard upside down because I need it scored on one side. So I'm going to score backwards, which is, by the way, very weird. But 6, 6 1/4, 6 1/2. I think you do every 1/4 inch up into 8. So 6 1/2, 6 3/4, 7, 7 1/4, 7 1/2, 7 3/4, and 8. Now, okay, so I turn the scoreboard around and we're going to score on the next piece of paper. And this we are scoring at 6 and 8. So don't mind me. I am once again I wrote all the scores down, but I did not account for where it's supposed to go. So we're going to start at the 8 1/2. Right? 8 1/2. Yeah. So we're going to start at 1/2 inch. Okay. And then 2 1/2 inches. So 1/2 inch and then 2 1/2 inches. Okay. So that's where you're scoring on this one. Now we have our waterfall pieces. We're going to take the 3 1/2 by 8 and we're going to score at, let's make sure, yeah, it's right side. We want to make sure it's right side. We're going to score at 1 1/2. Okay, and then the next one, which is the 5 1/2 by 8, we're going to score at 3. Okay, and the 7 1/2 by 8, we're scoring at 4. Okay. That's all we need for the scoring. Now this better work because I used printer paper earlier to make sure it would work. Okay. And I scored it upside down. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I have? So we have this. So it's a waterfall, and then I need to rescore this because I don't want it upside down. But okay, I grabbed the yellow piece. Let's try not to screw that up again, shall we? Sometimes I think I'd be better off with, so that's 3 1/2 and then by 8. I would be better off with one side of paper because then I couldn't screw it up. It's fine. It happens. It's only paper. I can use that paper probably somewhere else. It's not a big deal. So now we want to score. We want to score at, we want the thicker piece, so we want to score at 2. Okay, that's what I needed to see. We want to score at 2. Let me write that down. Okay, I wrote it down in my paper so we don't forget. That's all of our scoring. So now we have our 3 waterfall pieces that are going to get sewn with the sewing machine in our spot. Okay, so we have these. And you might be thinking, well, what are you going to do with those? Some of those are small. You'll see. All right, now we have this piece. This is going to attach to this piece here. I'm going to use my double stick tape and I'm going to put my double stick tape on the outside of my score line. You don't want it on the score line. You don't want it on the other side of the score line. You don't want your double stick tape or your glue to go past your score line. You want it before your score line so your stuff can fold correctly. Okay, you'll see what I mean in a second. See, so it's in front of the score line. So right here's the score, and see, all the tape is on the one side, okay? Because you don't want this to go over. You won't be able to fold it right. That's all. You just want to make sure you don't do that. You know, then it just doesn't fold right, and you have to retrain your paper, and you don't have to do that. All right. So I'm going to take this. I'm actually going to fold it so I can see a little bit better. Can I though? Probably not. Even being absolutely as careful as I could be, I still went over the score line. I'm telling you. Okay. Now, we have these scores, which I did them so you could kind of like do a curve. See that? So it can curve. So when you do a bunch of score lines like that, it can curve, and that's how I wanted it. And then it will attach to the cover like this. Okay? So that's what it'll look like, but we're gonna score this one score here because that is our back edge. Okay? And this score, which I thought I already did. Goes to show I was not paying attention. Okay, so then it kind of can be rounded if you need it to be rounded. It could also be flat if you want it to be flat. Depends on how fat your folio gets. All right, so these are going to get sewn in the middle, down. And then I'll add the next one. I have 3. So what I'm going to do is take my centering ruler. This is 2 inches, so there'll be an inch on either side. I could make it 2 inches, right? Yeah. So there'll be an inch on either side, and I'm going to mark 3 spots. I'm going to mark the middle, and I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch in on either side of the middle. Okay, so there it is. I marked in the middle and a 1/2 inch in on the other side, and that way when I come through, I can line them up. I know that this crease gets lined up with this mark here, so I can line this up and then stitch it with my sewing machine. All right, I'm going to pause and do that because you can't see my sewing machine, and I'll be back. Okay, well that took longer than I thought because my sewing machine had, the thread came out with the needle, so I had to rethread it, and then after I rethreaded it, my bobbin ran out, so I had to redo my bobbin. But here you go. Here are the little waterfall pages sewn in. Now, you are probably wondering, but Mimi, you said you'd tell us. I'm going to tell you, okay? So, I have this here. I'll show you on this one. When you get your The measurements say are 3.5 by 8. Make it 3 3/4 by 8. And then you're going to score at the 1/4 inch in between. So this one's scored at 2, and then this one's scored at 1 3/4. And then you have this to glue down. So you would put your tape or your glue here. You would put it where you want it on the spine and just glue it down, and you can still have the same effect without sewing. Okay? So your measurements would be 3 3/4 by 8, 5 3/4 by 8, and 7 3/4 by 8. And you would probably score at 2, and then this one was 1 3/4 and 2. Probably 2 3/4 and 3, and 3 3/4 and 4. Okay, and that will give you your nice little base to then glue it down. All right. Let me be nice. Hold on. I know I have paper here. What did I do with it? I'm telling you. Things just disappear. I'll just use this right here. Okay. So, your piece is 11 by 8, scored at 6 to 8 every 1/4 inch. Okay? And then 8.5 by 8, scored at 6 and 8. And then your waterfall tabs are 3.5 by 8, scored at 2, 5.5 by 8, scored at 3, and 7.5 by 8, scored at 4. And if you need it glued spine, you would do 3.75 by 8, 5.75 by 8, and 7.75 by 8, and score at 1 3. I do that every time. 1 3/4 and 2, 2 3/4 and 3, and 3 3/4 by 4. And 4, not by 4, and 4. Okay? So if you want, hold on. There you go. Take a screenshot. These are all of your measurements that you need to make this project. All right? Okay. So now that we have that done, we need to add all of our fun stuff. So I have these pockets, and I really want to put one of these adhesive pockets here. I think the big ones I have are too big. Let me see. They were buried. Yes, they are too big, but I can cut them down, and I think I'm going to cut it down and put a long pocket and then another smaller pocket on top. Or should we just do 2 small? Let's just do 2 small pockets. We'll just do 2 small pockets, because this is way too long. Listen, when I tell you that everything is falling right now, everything is falling right now. Everything fell. All right, so we're going to peel off the pocket, and I'm just going to put it down here. Okay, and I'm going to peel off another one. You can make pockets. I know most people probably don't have these clear pockets. I love these clear pockets for journaling. All right, so we have those pockets there, and then I will fill them with stuff. And now you're probably wondering, what are we doing with this? What we're doing with this is grabbing our cut aparts. So this is a cut apart. Here's cut aparts. All right. I am going to pause and cut apart all the cut aparts, okay? And then I'll be back. Okay, I have everything cut apart. Now I want to choose one of the cut aparts for the cover. So let's see. We have some big ones. I really like this one right here. And would go on the outside like so. So let's put that aside, and now we're going to come in here. Okay. The point of the waterfalls was to add cut aparts to them. Don't mind me, I am trying to find. Okay, so you add a cut apart here, all right, and then on the back you can add a photo. So you have this little cut apart. We're going to add it here. Where's my glue? Here's my glue. Okay, so about there, I'm just going to put glue here, and we're going to add this one in. Okay, so now we have this one, and it's going to flip over, and it's going to hang out like that. And then maybe add another one here, something like this. We can add here, and once again you can add a photo then on the inside. And then I would do journaling. You could actually add then another piece if you would want. We can add this one here. Let's add it here. So we're just going to find a spot. I love plaid because you can line it up and make sure it's straight. So we have that one there, and then they just flip like this, and you keep adding until you fill everything up. And we have this one. I don't know why I put that one at the tippy top, but it's all the way at the top now, and it's staying there. And then we have here, you can add a really nice big one. And this would be good because if you don't like this quote, I would add the photo inside here is what I would do, because the quote's like not all that great in my opinion. Maybe you love it, but I would rather have the cool back of the frame. I'm just going to pull that in. And then you have that one there. So as you're flipping, you're just flipping. And then, like I said, you could journal in here. And you're just flipping and adding photos. You can add a photo here. You could journal on here. Add another photo like this one. I mean, another, another one. Put this one here. Now you just have to be cognizant when you put them in, you're going to have to add more of the cut apart to, because when you close it, you don't want it to interfere with being able to close it. Okay? So you just have to be, you're not going to want to put it on the edge. You want to put it in farther the wider you go. And then there's this one here. Put that there. And then you can add photos, you can add journaling, you get all kinds of stuff on here. And then you have the back. We have this nice open space here where we can let's put this down here like this into like kind of a tuck spot, or do we think that's too big for a tuck spot? What do you think? You know what we should do? This one as a pocket. So we have this. I need to trim it just a tiny bit. So we're going to trim off from here. And then we're going to glue it on 3 sides and make a pocket. And really, you can do whatever you want. If you look at my plans for this project, there was nothing on these pages because I didn't know until I was doing it what I would put on. So now you have a pocket. And you can put some of these cut-aparts in it. Okay, and then over here in the front, in these clear pockets, I would put some more cut-aparts. So you put these cut-aparts in, and then you can put photos on them, journal on them. And here you go. Now, I made it plenty big enough. And you might be asking, why did you make it so big? I made it this big because you don't know how fat something's going to end up being. And, like, you just don't know. My boyfriend is famous for saying that I make everything, no matter how big I make it, I always end up filling it. And he's right. No matter how big I make something, I always end up filling it. So for something like this, I kind of want to go, was this the one I was going to use? I guess it was. For something like this, I really kind of like to go bigger. Because you don't know what you're going to fill this with. You might want to like decorate. I have like a school sticker book that I got in the Echo Park. So I could go to town decorating this. I could add a ton of stuff to decorate. I'm just going to put this on the cover. I can add so much stuff to decorate with, and then that can end up being fat. You could end up getting so fat on the inside when you decorate more and more and more. There's plenty of room in here, so you could add more in here if you want. You could also cut it down. It doesn't have to be this big. Like I said, I'm trying to be more cognizant of how big I make things. Because, yeah, even when I make my journals are always overflowing. So, there we go. I'm going to use a Velcro dot to close this. And when I do that, put it on here, and then it has to sit, because I'm telling you, if you don't know this about the Velcro dots, if you mess with them, they need to sit for just a little bit. So here we go. There we go. And like I said, there's so much room to grow, so much room to put things in. Like, you start putting stuff in here and it's going to get fat. It's going to get fat quick. All right, so that's my project for the today. It's my project for the today. And you may be wondering, why'd you cut all those cut-aparts apart? I'm going to tell you, I prefer always to use the cut-aparts in a paper collection. And because I try to always use the cut-aparts in a paper collection, cutting them apart doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to throw them back in the bag with the rest of the stuff and the scraps and put it away. But like I said, I try to always use the cut-aparts. They're there unless I really, really, really like the backing paper. Like, this is just red polka dots. This was school buses. This was numbers. Nothing called out to me that I really wanted to use the back of that paper. So that's why they're cut apart, because they will get used as cut parts. All right, so there we go. I think this is adorable. Just makes a really cute little project. And like I said, man, I just want to fatten this up so bad. But I'm not going to. I'm going to put it aside. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a lot for me. I've had this written up here. Here it is. I had it written up for a while. So, and I will put these measurements back here for you. So if you need to keep looking at them, you can. And I really appreciate you guys joining me. Please like, subscribe, and let me know how you feel about this little folio down below. I am starting to really like using decorative paper to make the base of a folio. Then you're not cutting all those mats. Look how good the edges, the sides look with all that sewing. Look at that. And if you don't like that, there's these strips that you can cover it with. This one actually would fit perfect. Look at that. That's 2 inches. It would fit perfect. But there you go. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think I already said that. Who knows? Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.